that was really me. I mean, for me, the stereotype was true. So like in 8th grade, something happened with the private school. We didn't like the private school, and the other private school I'd gone before, didn't go into high school, and my mom didn't want to send me to public school, and she's like, "Why don't we just homeschool?" And I'm like, "Yes, let's homeschool," because I was like getting picked on, okay, and she didn't know that. So a lot of times, I mean, most of you probably like homeschooled your kid from kindergarten to 12th grade, but a lot of people that want to homeschool their kid, or if you have kids that are saying, "I want to homeschool," a lot of times it's because they're picked on, but they're embarrassed to tell you that they're being picked on. They won't actually tell you that. I never told my parents that. So I kind of had to deal with that. But when it came to business and thinking like an entrepreneur, that came a little bit natural, but my parents always encouraged me. So when I was 16 years old, I started a business selling freshwater fish in a flea market, which we bought for $4,500. Completely failed, completely bombed. That was my first failure, first learning experience, realizing I do not want to work at a flea market. Okay. So then I started working for my dad selling gun safes. That's when I started selling them, and realized that I had a knack for sales. I was good at sales. I wasn't good socially. I was shy around girls, but sales I was good. I was confident. And so when I was like 17, I was homeschooling in high school, but I was set up so that I could still get my school done and still work a full-time job. So I got a job offer while selling gun safes at a state fair from a guy that managed this large store in Tampa. That's a big chain in the southeast called Recreational Factory Warehouse, and they sell like spas, above ground pools, pool tables, stuff like that. And he's hired me right on the spot. Went there, started working for him, and took my sales abilities to a little bit higher level. So when I was 18 years old, I was making like 50 grand a year, and I was still homeschooled in high school. And I did that for a couple of years and just kind of got sick of retail. So then I got a job working with a friend of mine that was one of the youth leaders in our youth group. Back when I was 18, I was 21 now, working for an outside sales job doing equipment leasing, and I did that for 2.5 years. And that was a good learning experience, and it taught me a little bit how to do outside sales. But I had landed a large account from this huge furniture rental chain called Court Furniture Rental. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Like Warren Buffett actually owns the company, or used to at one point. And I got that account in the corporate office, and so it was a big account. It was going to be more than I can handle. And then the company said, "Well, Nathan, we're going to pay you 0.5 point on all the volume for a year," which is not a bad deal, not too bad. But after that, you're done. So then I realized, do I really want my future to be in the in the hands of an employer? So then my friend who got me the job there said, "Nathan, we got to get into real estate. We got to start flipping houses." There's this guy in Tampa, and he's making $350,000 a year flipping houses. I'm like, "All right, I'm in. Let's do it." So we start going to real estate seminars. We start learning about that, and that went well. For a while, went pretty well, and this is really my first real, somewhat successful business. And then the market crashed in 2006, and I was always focusing on doing short sales. You guys know what a short sale is? It's like where a house, you got a house that's worth 200 and you owe 300 on it. You can't sell it, and the real estate agents don't like doing them because they take forever, and the banks aren't very cooperative, and they're just everywhere. So I got really good at doing short sales, and then I got really, really, really good at automating it. So I figured out a way to pay the real estate agent a certain percentage of the deal, the person dealing with the bank a certain percentage of the deal, and so on, to the point where I was flipping 5 houses a month, and I wasn't talking to the seller, I wasn't talking to a buyer, I wasn't talking to the bank, and I wasn't looking at a house. And what happened is people started, when you get really good at something, people around you start asking you, "How do you do that? How do you do that?" So then I moved into this condo building in downtown Tampa, and started. I went downstairs because I live in this luxury condo building in downtown Tampa, and on the second floor of those condos is a Keller Williams office. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go down there, and I'm just going to like infiltrate that office. So I went next door to the mortgage company and made friends with a mortgage broker, started giving them leads, and asked them to introduce me to the real estate agent. And this is one thing that's not taught in academics at all. Is it's not what you know, it's who you know. But they don't really explain, okay, well, how do you get to know people? If there's someone in business that has something that you want, the last thing that you want to do is walk up to them and say, hey, I got this for sale, and this is me, and this is why I'm so great. You're better off figuring out what you can do to provide value for them. Can you stroke their ego maybe a little bit? Hey, I want to interview you for this, because I think this is really cool. Bribe them a little bit, friendly bribe, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And I started doing deals with those agents, and then they said, you know what, I built up my short sale pipeline up to 120 deals, and in June of 2008, we made $118,000 in 1 month flipping houses, when no one else was making money in real estate for the most part. So the owner calls me up, and he figured, all right, well, I got this young kid who's making money. I know a little bit about internet marketing. I could partner with him, completely exploit him, and we could start teaching this stuff online. So I was teaching people how to make money flipping houses, very similar to how Nicholeen teaches families self-government. So we did that, and then our first year we did $5 million in revenue our first year. It was just like I couldn't even believe it. It was just like unheard of. I mean, here I am. I never went to college. I was homeschooled, which we all know what society says about homeschoolers. I was just doing it, and that was fun for a while, and then that get kind of old. I have about a 3.5 year. Like, I've looked at my career, and it's like every 3.5 years, it's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I have to do something else, and that's just how I've always been. But I've been able to develop my skills not just as a salesperson, but as a marketer as well. And they really kind of go together. So one thing that I noticed was we would be holding these seminars, these big 200, 300, 400 person events, and people would walk up to me, and this is what would happen. Because part of my backstory when I was selling my real estate courses was I never went to college and I was homeschooled. I kind of use that to my advantage because society looks at that as a disadvantage. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you're anytime if you're trying to accomplish something big, if you can be perceived as the underdog, then you're able to inspire more people. Oh, I'm just a homeschooled kid, never went to college. So I look at that's how society looks at it. And what would happen is I would be holding these seminars, and every single seminar, every single one, I would have a parent walk up to me, and they would walk up to me. And I was pretty well known for my videos because I have some crazy videos. And they would say, Nathan, we love what you're doing. I've done this. I've made $25,000 flipping my first house. My kids love your videos. We just want to let you know we homeschool our kids. And we like that you were homeschooled. And I wish I knew now, or what I knew then, what I know now. I don't know why anyone didn't tell me this before. And it got to the point where after that would happen like 3 or 4 times, it really started to bother me. I said, why don't we sell something in the homeschool market? So we started researching the homeschool market. There's 3.5 million searches a month in Google for the term homeschool or homeschooling every single month. And just to give you a gauge of what that is, for the term real estate investing, there's 170,000. So I'm like, wow, so it's pretty big. So I said, Brian, this is Nick Brian. I'm like, let's do this. And I started just telling, I'm going to just do the homeschool market. And then what happens? Life kicks in. You're in the middle of a real estate launch, or you're working on this thing over here, or whatever. You just talk about what you're doing, and you never really do it. So then I get this letter in the mail to my personal post office box, which you basically have to stalk me to find, okay? Because it's not on our website. It's my personal post office box, and it's like this letter from this woman that says, Nathan, I saw your webinar for foreclosure auction quick cash, which is another product that we were launching, and I see that, and I was really impressed with it. I see that you're homeschooled, and I homeschool my kids, and we want you to come out with something that teaches this stuff to our kids. It was just like really, really like creepy. Okay, I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, okay, I have to do this. So, you know, a lot of you guys may ask yourself, you know, is a custom academic homeschool education good enough? You know, and you may ask you guys may be thinking to yourselves and making different decisions. You guys probably, you know, talk to your kids or talk amongst yourselves. Should we send our kids to college? Or you may say, well, all of our friends that don't homeschool our kids that we're friends with, but they kind of think we're weirdos and they say that our kids are going to be antisocial. Should that be something that I should be concerned about? You know, you guys are probably, a lot of people have thought that, like, what is the right answer? What is this right? Is this, you know, is this wrong? What about college? Is college a rip-off? Is it good? Is it bad? Do they need a degree? I mean, like, you know, there's so many of these answers. And I didn't go to college, and I'll kind of give my take on that a little bit later. But I think that's definitely a decision that every family has to make for themselves. You really have to look at the opportunities that are around you and make sure that you don't get sucked into going down the wrong career. There's a lot of people that go to college with blinders on just to get the degree, and that's the only reason that they go to college.
I was really impressed with a lot of the things that he had to say, especially when he mentioned all the practical experience that he'd had, his personal experience. I think that speaks more volumes than anything else. I think it was right on when he talked about degrees in college, and that the degree doesn't guarantee you a job, and actually in the real world, people want to see experience.
You know, he may be marketing it to homeschooling kids, but we're going to use the program.
I love the way that he communicates with people and how open he is and how just down to earth he is. I also loved all of the discussion that we were able to have tonight, and everybody was able to talk about so many of the hang-ups that we have as adults with why we don't teach our children properly about money, what the potential is for their future, and how they can really change the world if they know how to make money and value money appropriately. And
as you can plainly see, my mom's friends were pretty impressed, and they seem to think that real world prep is for parents, not kids.